Okay, hello, this is Frank Brazili. Thank you for joining X-Able for this exciting webcast of the 28th National Veterans Wheelchairs Games. The National Veteran Games are co-sponsored by the Paralyzed Veterans of America and the Department of Veterans Affairs. In front of me right now is Paul Kamich, one of the fine officials of the game. Paul, thank you. This year, the local co-hosts for the games are the VA Nebraska Western Iowa Healthcare System in Omaha and the Great Plains chapter of the Paralyzed Veterans of America. This broadcast of wheelchair basketball is being sponsored by Hewlett-Packard. Joining me today as a commentator is Andy Krieger. And Andy is the Director of Sports for the Paralyzed Veterans of America. He oversees PVA support for programs and events such as the National Veterans Wheelchair Games, where we are today, the PVA National Bass Tour, the PVA National Trap Shoot Circuit. He joined the PVA in 1993 as an Associate Director of Sports and Recreation. And Andy is a 1990 graduate of Wright State University, where he recently was recognized by the College of Education and Human Services as their outstanding alumnus. He received the Department of Veterans Affairs Undersecretary for Health Award, and prior to his employment at the PVA, Andy had played basketball at Wright State University, was a three-time All-American in the intercollegiate division, played on the U.S. national team in 1989, has coached and has also served as the commissioner of the intercollegiate division in wheelchair basketball. So we have with us a person who has had a lot of experience. So Andy, welcome to Omaha, and what are your thoughts about today's game?
Well, first let me say thanks, Frank. It's certainly an honor and pleasure to be here. As you stated, I have considerable background in wheelchair basketball. I've pretty much cut my disability teeth with that sport, and as a result, I've always have a special place in my heart for wheelchair basketball. And as you mentioned, the National Veterans Wheelchair Games now in its 28th year. It's an exciting time for us this year. It's our largest event that we do, and today I'm looking forward to a very good semifinal match against the green and black team. I know several of the participants. Before the registration process has been completed, what we do is we randomly divide the Class 1s, 2s, and 3 players, and then assign them to the team. So pretty much everybody has an equal basis as to having an equitable team, and as a result, they are very much starting out on an equal playing basis. But as they evolve throughout the tournament, they'll start playing better together. And one of the teams, the green team, looked very good in their first game 2 nights ago. And I didn't get to see the black team to play, but they got a couple of players on there that are certainly are high caliber players. To answer your question, Frank, I'm looking forward to a good semifinal game here today this afternoon.
And rolling in front of me, just out here to my left, is Tom Brown. Tom Brown is the director of the National Veterans Games. He's been here many times throughout the year, making sure everything's set, and he does this from year to year. By the way, he's also in the process of setting up the vet games for the next few years. Where are the games going to be next year, Andy?
Next year we're going to be taking the games to Spokane, Washington, and then in 2010 we're going to the Mile High City in Denver, Colorado. So certainly looking forward to those two host cities. So
we got it set up for a few years ahead. Andy had mentioned player classification, and in wheelchair basketball, in order to allow fair and equitable competition among different disability levels, there's what is known as a classification system. A Class 1 athlete is an individual with a complete motor loss at T7 or above or comparable disability, where there's total loss of muscle function originating at or above the T7 level. Class 2 has a complete motor loss originating at the T8 and descending through the L2 level. where there may be motor power of hips and thighs. Also included in this class are amputees with bilateral hip disarticulation. And the Class 3 athlete is an athlete with all other physical disabilities related to lower extremity paralysis. All lower extremity amputees are included in this class, except those with bilateral hip disarticulation. So then there is what's known as a team balance, and team balance means you have to have at least one player from each class usually on the court at one time. You can have no more than 12 player points on the court at one time. We basically don't notice this because we're looking at the skill levels, and it's very hard to distinguish the difference in skill levels between many of these athletes. A lot of times what we might see is the Class 2s and Class 1s may be a little bit quicker in their chairs and a little bit better with some of the dribbling and passing skills. And the Class 3 athletes might be individuals who might be a little bit taller in their chairs and might be the bigger people in the game. So that's a little bit about classification. Today here we have 2 undefeated teams. This is a double elimination tournament leading to the championship games tomorrow and the consolation game. The black team and the green team are playing here today, and it's probably going to be a little bit difficult to tell one from the other as you're watching the game, but I'd like to announce the lineups for each team right now. I'll give the black team, and I'll have Andy tell us the names and numbers of the green team. For the black team, number 00, William Levitt. Number 1, Michael Thomas. Number 4, Evan Tatum. Number 5, Derek Wallace. Number 10, John Liddy. Number 11, Douglas Moore. Number 13, Emma Burns. And number 15, William Tyree. That will be the black team. And each player has to play a minimum of 10 minutes during this game.
That's right, Frank. And making up the green team is the team that I had mentioned I'd watched a little bit 2 nights ago. 00 is Patricia Labar, who is out of Texas. And number 1, Juan Soto, is a nice little guard that is also out of San Antonio, Texas. Player number 2, Raul Acosta, plays in the New York area and actually is a PVA service officer in the Bronx VA Hospital. Number 4 is Brad Carlson. Number 5 is Mitchell Bakke. Number 10 is a very accomplished player, Jody Shiflett, who plays for the Virginia Sun Beach Wheelers. Number 11, Wilton Locklear, who is out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. Number 12 is Stephen McGuire. Number 13 is Anthony Felder. And last but not least is number 14, Harold Hack, who started his ball at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater and now I believe playing in the Milwaukee area. Right?
So as Annie had mentioned, all of these athletes play on various teams that are teams in the National Wheelchair Basketball Association. When they come to these games, they're kind of put together on these teams based upon classification levels and to try to make the teams fair and balanced for these games. So sometimes it may take a while for them to get used to understanding each other's idiosyncrasies, which hand pass to, which area to try to look to get the person open. As you may have noticed before the game, and right now over here with the black team, you can look at the officials, and they are checking the chairs. The wheelchair is basically a sports wheelchair for wheelchair basketball. However, there are some things that each chair has to have in common. The height of the seat must not exceed 21 inches from the floor. The height of the foot platform or the first point of contact must be no more than 4 7/8 inches from the floor. And that's to make sure that when they're bumping into each other that no damage is done to each athlete's feet or legs or other parts of the body. You may also notice that athletes have cushions, and that's for therapeutic reasons. A heel strap of 1.5 inches width must be attached to the foot platform bars. Each chair must be equipped with a roll bar or other protective device to ensure against damage to the playing surface. So in a few minutes we'll be ready to go, and we'll be back to you when it's time for the game to start.